Welcome to Immigration Invasion, a podcast where we explore the ridiculous and absurd aspects of immigration law in the U.S. We're your hosts, Asma Din,
Robert Armstrong.
We are really excited about this episode. I know we talked about this on our first teaser episode, but we want you guys to meet our inner circle. Today in the studio, we have Melissa Oosterhof and Andrea Chavarria. Welcome, guys.
Yes.
We're so excited to have you here.
Welcome we're so happy to have you guys as invaders because it's the Immigration Invasion podcast. I'll explain that later.
Yes.
In case you didn't get it. Yeah.
So why don't we start off? Melissa, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Your the types
It's not optional. Yeah.
Types of cases you like.
But also like your background, what'd you do before,
Okay.
what's your favorite Final Fantasy character? Okay, that's for me. You're right. That's probably just for me.
Talk about my favorite Sanrio character.
Yeah. Gotta work. Batsumaru all the way, baby.
Okay. Well, Melissa Oosterhof is my name. Before I became an immigration attorney, or before I became an attorney, I was an elementary school teacher. So there's actually a lot of transferable skills between teaching Elementary school kids and then practicing law.
Cutting gum out of hair. Has that been a big thing in court?
What we do.
In court, yeah.
100%. So I kind of just came into immigration law. When I got out of law school, I was practicing elder law and estate planning, and I hated it so much. And my boss was so mean that I'm not even a crier, and I would go to the bathroom and cry during the day. And so I was I'm not cut out for this. So I went back to teaching. And I had loads of student loan debt as an elementary school teacher. And then another coworker of mine was like, "What the heck are you doing here? Get your ass out of elementary school and go be a lawyer like you were supposed to do." So I did it, and started practicing immigration. Didn't know anything about immigration, never took an immigration law class, even in law school. Just started taking on pro bono cases, specifically cases that were related to helping kids. And then my practice just started to develop from there.
Yeah. So do you have any immigrant ties yourself?
I do. Yeah. My dad is an immigrant. My dad is from the Netherlands. He's got a really thick accent and no one understands him. But maybe me, a little bit my mom. So, yeah.
Maybe understand. You're making your dad sound like the Swedish chef from the Muppets. That's not right.
Whenever I would have a friend over, they would always my dad would say something like, "Hi, how are you?" And then my friend would just look at me
You're the mission here.
Here's the odd thing about having an immigrant parent, right? And I don't know if surely if you have an immigrant parent, maybe you also experience this, but I don't hear the accent. He sounds red, white, and blue will bleed out of him if you cut him, and I don't hear the accent at all.
No, not the case with me.
But I can hear
my mom's
first.
Yeah, I hear my mom's accent.
Really?
But it's so normalized, and I don't even think about it until someone's like, "Oh my God, you have a cute accent," and I'm like, "Oh, I forget she has an accent."
Yeah.
I feel that's what people say about me when I speak Spanish.
Oh, that was actually going to be my next question. Because, I don't know if Andrea's taken any Spanish classes and writing and stuff, but you actually have a...
I don't want to talk about it.
No, you have to. You have to, because you sneak up on people, and I love it.
Yeah.
I have a degree in Spanish.
Yes. You do. And your grammar's better than mine. Written. Yes.
Yeah, I can write like nobody's business.
You know where the accent marks go.
All the accents go.
Yep.
Penultimate, all of it. Yeah. I know it.
No. I just put all my tildes at the end in a footnote. I don't even let them just kind of sort them out. I don't know. Yeah.
And I was a Spanish teacher.
Yes. Of course. I love it. Yep. Yeah. Aquí viene la gringa. No dejen que la gringa. And you're like, con permiso.
Yes. Con permiso. I once had a student tell me I was the whitest Mexican he had ever seen.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Another thing you and I share in common is that we both speak Spanish, and neither one of our last names are remotely pronounceable in Spanish.
No.
You know, Astron and Oosterhof.
I'm telling you though, like my Spanish speaking clients, they do much better with a name than pretty much any Caucasian.
Really?
Yeah. Certain. Yeah, yes, I'm not joking.
Wow.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah. It was rough growing up.
Yeah. Just
A tough childhood.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, people can't pronounce my last name.
yeah.
Yeah. They're just like, ugh. I swear, sometimes I would not get called. You know, in law school, you're supposed to get called frequent. I would never get called. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's because the professors can't pronounce my name. Yeah.
And so, you know, growing up in El Paso, being from Panama, you know, you guys just said that something is kind of just sounds normal to you. For me, like your last name, Chavarria, just sounds like Johnson, right?
Yeah.
So I don't understand the concept of like a Chavarria, Chevalier. I'm like, Chavarria. Can't you just say Chavarria? Chavarria. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, hey, tell us a
Yes,
little bit
Andrea,
about yourself.
tell us about
All right. So, depending, English or Spanish, it's either Andrea or Andrea.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I was actually born in Mexico, and my parents went through the whole immigration thing, and I did too. I became acquired citizenship through my mother. Yeah, so I got to go to, so I got
you
to.
had an anchor parent.
The other way around.
Yeah.
So tell us about your practice, and you know, like you are, I believe, the one that's been practicing longest out of all of us. So you kind of have a broad.
So I think I'm going on 15 years in November.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Time flies by.
So since you were like
A baby.
10, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's right. She just said that. I'm sorry. I should listen better.
I'm the Doogie Howser of law.
Yeah.
So I practice family-based and removal defense. What do I like? I like the easy cases. Which is rare. I do find a satisfaction in motion to reopen.
Yeah.
I love doing those and getting them reopened, especially if it's a really old case and complicated. I want to say I really love those cases. But I think citizenship cases are also very satisfying. It's so nice, especially if you've handled the case from, maybe like they came in, made them residents, then did maybe the removal of conditions, and then ended up in citizenship, and now they want to file for their parents or their sibling or somebody else. It's just very satisfying to have those cases where you've had them for 10 years and they're finally, they become these U.S. citizens, and you get to see just the happiness when they're told, you've been recommended for approval, or, hey, we have a ceremony this afternoon. Can you make it?
Yeah.
So, those are my favorite.
That's all nice and dandy, but like also if you think about it, like immigration lawyers are like the Subarus of lawyers. Like we're gonna just get like repeat business over the years.
Yeah.
I'm like, not sure where this is going. I did not. I'm like, boxy and ugly, but dependable.
Dependable.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like thinking about like the dogs in the commercial.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's this going?
They have the most repeat customers. Subarus.
It's true. Yeah.
Okay.
I could see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going somewhere, and I think I got there.
Yeah, I think you got there.
Yeah.
But there were options, like there's an alternate universe where you took that in a direction where there's like a butch, young lady with a sharp short haircut. Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely appreciate you guys coming in and sharing a little bit about yourselves, your background. the practices that you have. You guys have made verbal cameos in every other episode because you guys are truly our inner circle, and you're a big part of what and who we are as immigration practitioners. So thank you very much. Welcome. Willkommen.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, okay, let's talk a little bit about how we all met. And we were talking about this, and Robert is like the thread that connects all of us. So, I guess we'll start with like how Robert and I met, and then I'll kind of then talk about how I met Melissa and Andrea. So
actually, timeline wise,
well, actually,
I met Melissa first.
Okay, so why don't you talk about how you met Melissa first?
So I was at another firm that Andrea actually worked at in the past as well.
Yes.
And one day I'm sitting in my office, and I got invited to go to lunch with Melissa and a colleague, and someone that worked at the firm, which I'm kind of nobody. I was kind of nobody there, so I'm like, yeah, free food, sure, let me go. So went in, sat down, went to this really snazzy restaurant because that talent for finding. Yeah, snazzy. It was.
It's a good place.
Yes.
It's good for a meet and greet.
Yeah, absolutely. And so met, chatted, interacted, and for those of you that don't have the pleasure of knowing her, Melissa's one of the funnest people to be like around for lunch and hang out with.
Sure.
Any hangout, any social situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get out there.
So she made the mistake of giving me a card and saying, "Hey, call me if you need anything." And from there, for her business, and she was on my radar. So that was the first.
Yeah.
And then there was Osmo.
Yes. So we met. It was after Trump 1.0. I'll never forget this. It was like one of those like town hall type meetings.
In a church.
And there were like all these other law firms there kind of giving talks to the immigrant community on like, it was supposed to be know your rights. And it turns out a lot of these law firms were there just trying to sell their businesses. And I guess I didn't get the memo. So I went up there first and did like a proper know your rights. Like here's, what you should and shouldn't do if ICE comes knocking on your door.
Like a loser instead of trying to make money.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't have any swag?
Yeah. No, I actually, all we gave out were like those little like red cards, like the know your rights cards.
I remember that.
Yeah. And then,
we didn't even bring coupons.
No sauce. We have like a t-shirt gun.
Raffle tickets for free consultations.
I wish I would have had the memo on this, because then what happened was like I got off stage, and then these other two law firms that were there that like had decided that that's what they were going to go do just shit all over me like presentations. And so if you guys were watching this, like I've not forgotten. Okay.
Wait, this is before the church. This was at that school.
Yes, it was at the school.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, that was really weird because it was like hosted by the city or whatever.
It was hosted by the city.
And they weren't
right.
So some of them weren't even immigration attorneys.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yes. So then like, I was like, rap, because like, all the immigrants, of course, none of them wanted to talk to me because I was like, I didn't have any. I was just like,
I mean, let's be honest. Like at that event, there were a lot of more American looking.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
they were. That's who they beeline to. And I remember one of those guys is like an personal injury attorney.
Yeah,
and it happened to be just like, oh yeah, I'm going to go out and do a know your rights presentation, and it was just like sale. Yeah. So yeah. And so then I get done, and I'm like, okay, well, nobody's coming to my booth. Let me just like hurry up and like wrap up like my sad little like know your rights stuff. And then Robert comes over to me and was like, hey, like you did awesome. Like you did such a great job. Like giving information to the community. And I was like, thank you, and then we just like chatted and like, I was like, this is like a really nice dude. Like, and so that's how we
initially met.
Yeah.
So
And then then after that, shortly after that, we did meet at a church in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, the rock wall.
Yeah, out in the rock wall.
Middle of nowhere.
I mean, it felt middle of nowhere. Like all of a sudden, civilization stopped, right? And I think it was just me and you that showed up, or me, you, and one other person, and we set up tables, and then, we kind of got to talk a little more. And I'm like, all right, this person is legit, 'cause, like, you're obviously chasing the money, going out to some Baptist church in Rockwall. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
If I had been there, I would have totally piggybacked off of your presentation.
Yeah.
And I would have made sure that I was going next, and I'd be like, exactly what she said. And then I would just throw out all my keychains with my phone.
Yep. Koozies. The koozies that nobody uses, but you still decide you want to buy them,
Exactly.
So you can follow up with pop quiz. Who was listening? Then you give away prizes, right?
Absolutely.
I had a law school
Yeah.
professor that did that with Starbucks gift cards.
Oh, nice.
Then I'd definitely pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't encourage me to participate.
No.
Yeah.
Andrea,
Yes.
when pop quiz,
Yes.
when did we meet?
I was trying to think of when we met because I feel like it was either at at what was formerly known as the Below Mansion.
Which, again, a mystery why they don't call it that.
I know, right?
Someone back in the day named Below must have owned slaves. Something happened and they came up with it.
Yeah.
They found out he was a general in the Confederate Army because it happened all of a sudden. So it's now the arch.
Yeah, no
Arts
no
district
notification, no email of this, we are changing the name. It was just I don't
Arts
even know what
district.
it's called now. Okay, Arts District.
Just
Always call it the Below.
It's the Below.
It's the Below.
Yeah.
So we either met there or at an ALA conference, I believe.
So okay, you and I met. It was. I know that one or two different times we went to these events, and you just kept popping up there, right?
Yeah.
Andrea is very soft spoken but persistent and stealthy, and she was just there. She was just there, and I'm like, okay, so this is someone else that's consistently at the same kind of events.
Yeah.
And went over, introduced myself. I'm like, wow, it's cool peoples, right? One of them I know was the Mexican tourism board. They had, it was some.
What's this?
Yeah, so the Mexican.
It's ringing a bell now.
Juarez.
Something to do with
the consulate.
Well, separate from the consulate.
It was
separate from the consulate.
Yeah, because I got a random email. I'm like, sure, I'll go, and you were there, right?
Yeah.
So that's what put you on my radar initially, right?
Yeah.
When was the first time you remember though? Actually remember?
I feel like it's been so long. I honestly don't even remember. I feel like it was again Below or conference, but it was something. We were somewhere and we just hit it off right away.
Yeah.
And I'd seen all of you in court, but I'm an introvert, and so I usually don't approach people. I'm just oh, you always had really cool outfits in court, so I was like, I love her style.
Yeah.
Bond hearings, you just kick ass all the time.
Yeah.
And Robert, obviously,
I'm an introvert hunter.
You are.
I really am.
Yeah.
I'm looking for people, interesting people on the
fringe.
outskirts.
Yeah.
Because that's where you find them usually. Melissa notwithstanding.
Why not interested?
No, the opposite. The opposite. You're extroverted as well, but you're there's lots of layers to your personality that aren't, if someone's not going to sit down and talk to you, they don't really know about.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I think really the one of the big keys is just that there's a shared value system, and just you guys all have interesting stories. So for me, the moment this all became kind of the circle was the NDA that we went to, right? We were in DC.
That,
yes.
Yes.
That's
that.
was it before? It must have been before that.
Yes, but that's when we gelled.
solidified.
Yes, and because that's
Okay.
when Andrea actually spent a lot of time with all.
That's
you know,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Okay,
when it.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I think
That's when we started talking shit.
that is when we began to. We prefer to say "hablar mierda"
Okay.
for the. Yes, this is a PG-17 podcast. Forgot to tell you that. So
Okay.
if it slips out,
Okay.
we slip.
Paul did drop the B word, bastard.
Oh my God, I can't believe he just said it again. Paul's hilarious. He's like, can I say that? I'm like, absolutely.
Yes,
Paul.
yes, absolutely.
HE double hockey sticks. Yes, you can curse. Yeah. Yeah. So,
And
yeah.
and then we all went to Austin
We
that
did.
same
SB4.
year. Yes,
Yeah, for
that's
the
right.
SB4 stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
That was
rough.
not fun times.
Yeah.
That was
Together.
We do.
We do have a
Yeah.
photo.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good photo.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's the history as I am gonna sell it to Netflix.
So I met you at the lunch that we had. Then Asma at a happy hour
Yeah.
in Bishop Arts.
Yes.
What used to be Bolsa.
Yes. Yes. That's where we met. And then
Uh-huh.
we really became friends, though, at the AILA conference in New Orleans.
I was
Yes.
just thinking about the other night.
So-
Yeah, that was a good time.
Now, did all three of y'all go to that, or is it just?
I was there, but I was like hanging out by myself, like checking.
You had such a good time.
Okay,
Oh.
you should have.
Yes.
I wish you were there to witness some
yeah.
of the things that we saw at AILA in New Orleans. There's a reason why I believe they do not do it in party places anymore. Like now, it's just like AILA.
They hate fun.
Yeah.
So I didn't go. I just get to hear all these crazy ass stories, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what's a dirty Kurz band? The dirty Kurz band came out of this, and you got Melissa. You have to explain that story because the dirty Kurz band is a drink, an honorary drink that we had at one of the little get together happy hours that Ayla hosted, and I'm like, where did they get that name, Melissa?
And we apologize if Ira is watching this, but
Yeah.
It's an honorific.
We had respect to him.
yeah.
But the real star of the show, the real the behind the dirty Kurzman is actually Ira Kurzman's doppelganger.
Yes, his So so we were out in the French Quarter. Where of course everything exciting in the world happens.
Going to a vampire bar.
Yeah.
That heavy metal vampire bar.
Yeah.
As one does.
Why else go to the French Quarter?
Yeah,
Duh.
exactly. And so the way I remember it is that we were about to, I don't know if we were leaving or about to go in.
We're going in. Or
Okay.
both. I don't know.
I don't
feel like
remember.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so, okay, I don't quite recall if we were going in or coming out, but there was some gentleman outside. So in Ayla, they give you the lanyards, right, that you wear.
Right.
That allows you in and out of the conference. And so he had the Ayla, lanyard on. So, that's how we knew, okay.
It's official
this guy-
business.
Carrying around a file.
He was like,
He has some paperwork.
he was carrying
At the bar.
At
The bar.
Yes. And so all we hear is this bouncer being like, get the F out. And pushing this guy, right? Who looked like Ira's doppelganger.
So
And
we thought it was him.
We thought it was him. And then this guy was like, I have to go back in and get my papers.
And he fought his way back in.
Yes, he tried to sneak his way back in, and then this bouncer, who was huge, caught him and body slammed him. And we were like, oh my God, cool. And we were like, whoa, what did we just witness? And we thought for sure it was him, and what the papers in there were part of the next Kurz band.
Yeah.
Naturally. And
So
then we met Ira later on.
We told him.
And we told him about this.
Yeah.
And we told him about this, that we saw his doppelganger out, and he was very adamant that it was not him. He was like, it was not me. I
We
was there.
appreciated the story.
He did. So
He remembers us.
So,
I hope so too.
but I'm not hearing a lot of definitive proof. There's because there's circumstantial proof that it wasn't him, but was that ever resolved? Could it still have been him? Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I'm not 100%.
Exactly.
I think like the chapter revisions that he had in his little file folder, that did it for me. That kind of cemented like, this is a real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ira, when we met him, I mean, he's really cool. He was just in the club
He likes to
with
party.
the sunglasses on in the club, and he was just talking to us, and so we couldn't get that like eye contact confirmation,
Right.
that it, definitively that wasn't him. So.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dirty Curse Band. Yep.
That's why I think like we're confused on like whether or not we were entering or exiting when we saw it go down. I think it happened like twice because he got back in.
He did. He did get back in.
I swear I remember like
Persistence.
crossing paths with him like on a stairway into that bar.
Yeah.
I mean,
That guy. I want to have him in my heart for the
Legend,
next 4
yes.
years.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to have him.
Yeah.
We need to have him for the next 4 years in our heart.
rabid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me back in the court. My file's in there. Yeah.
Getting yanked out by his lanyard.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay, so I think we kind of went over like our origin story.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like the benefits of having an inner circle. Like, what would you guys say are like what you get out of having like a group of people that are kind of your closest friends, colleagues, and all that good stuff?
Gosh, you guys know what we're going through. So it's just nice to have someone to vent with and be like, this is what happened today, or I can't believe this policy changed. You can talk to other family and friends, but if they're not in immigration law, they're just going to kind of glaze over what you're saying. So really important to have someone in your field that you can truly trust and vent to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like along with that, like trusting and venting, like you have this commonality that you really don't share with other people. And so like no one outside of like this immigration law world would think that Dirty Curse Man was absolutely hilarious,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember later that day, we ran into a group of... Yes, okay, so I totally forgot this fact. Now, Melissa, I remember this. Remember we ran into a group of tax attorneys that were happy? It was like,
Yes!
They looked bored
At
out
the
of their
Roosevelt
mind.
bar.
Yes. And
Sazerac. We were getting Sazerac.
yes. And then we were like telling them about this, like, and we were like, just imagine the guy who has written the most important like tax code document, like seeing them like do that.
Just lit.
And they were like, whoa, you guys are weird. We're gonna start yeah.
I think I definitely like put a couple drinks on that bar tab though.
Yeah.
Thank you if you're out there.
Yeah.
But like just there's no one else that's gonna like that is also like down in the trenches who necessarily knows what you're going through, and I especially like for us in particular as like we all are business owners and we have our own firms, so like one, we're all in that practice of law, but two, we're doing this extra difficult rewarding thing that that's a whole commonality in itself, so
Yeah.
It's
it's a Venn diagram.
yeah.
Yes.
We're in the middle.
Yeah. It's and this is again, I'm not sure if it's Venn or Sven diagram.
That's my dad.
Yeah, my daughter. Yeah, my daughters to this day make fun of me about that. So either Venn or Sven diagram, there is that overlap because we're juggling two chainsaws, right? Instead of one, like a sane person would. The running a business, and the practice of law in an absolute wild west of legality right now. So
yeah.
In the West.
In the West,
In the West.
Yeah. Wild Fifth Circuit. The Fifth Circuit. Telling stories about practicing immigration law in the Fifth Circuit is like talking to somebody that grew up in Compton in like the 90s, you know, like, yeah, son, I came up in the Fifth Circuit, you know what I'm saying? You know, so having that shared trauma to discuss with you guys has been huge. Yeah.
I also feel like so wizened and like, you know, like all of these like younger attorneys, like they're just like, this is going to be like the first time they're experiencing a Trump admin, and I'm like, buckle up.
Yeah.
We all know.
Yeah. Well, what I like to do during Trump presidencies, do a CLE, those CLEs where where you start talking like you're perfect, you know. So
let's gather around.
I want to throw, if I may, throw something in. One of the things that the Inner Circle has done for me is, place to vent, place to bitch, place to talk about wild shit that I did or didn't do, but also like a place to share my wins. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's huge because sometimes
side of the coin there.
Sometimes when you post your wins, you know, on social media or with people that aren't, you know, in your circle, like it's just as likely that they tear you down as build you up, right?
Yeah.
But more importantly for me, I, despite what my outward appearances may seem, don't really care that much about people outside of my circle's opinion, you know? Yeah. So if I share a win, you know, I want to share it with somebody that I care about.
Yeah.
And so that's been huge, especially at a time where wins were few and far between.
And oftentimes our clients don't even know.
Yeah.
Like what we had to do or like,
exactly.
You know, what we went through or to get that win.
Yeah.
Like, what a significant win it is.
Yeah. Most of the time they do not appreciate it, and we know that because they follow up our pronouncement of their victory with, "What about my work permit?" Think you missed the. Never mind.
You don't need it. You're a resident now.
Yeah, exactly. You never have to renew it again.
Yeah.
Remember me?
Subaru.
Subaru.
Outback.
Okay, let's kind of talk about, I think, for those that don't have an inner circle yet, right? Like,
what are you waiting for?
Yeah. Yes, what are you waiting for?
Get your inner circle.
Yes. So how do you find your inner circle, and what should your inner circle look like?
Yeah. I mean, so I think it's important to focus on finding people, like I said earlier, that you have shared values with, people that are going to help build you up, and people that you connect with. But all of that doesn't really matter if you're not connecting with people that are willing to connect back. And I think that's the big thing that brought us and kept us together, because there have been other people that were in a trial period of the inner circle, right? That didn't stick, and the reason they didn't stick is because they didn't respond, they didn't reciprocate. But that's kind of been what
you get out what you put in.
Recipe for recipe for us. So, what do you guys think people should look at when trying to build their inner circle?
I think you just kind of know. someone, again, like the trust issue, people that you can laugh with. And so sometimes you've got other people that maybe you're like, oh, maybe I can be really good friends with them, but it's just not flowing naturally.
Yeah.
So it just it doesn't have to be an effort. It just happens naturally. I don't know how to explain
and
it.
You should be able to be vulnerable with them too, because we all make mistakes, right? And we need to be able. You need to have a group where you can discuss those mistakes and like without judgment, and get advice from people who you trust. So yeah.
I think like in answer to the question that like where do you find your inner circle or how do you build it? I think that it's, the best people that, you can create an inner circle with are people that are like similarly situated as you are. You're going to have, you're all going to be going through the same stuff. So like we had all started our firms relatively around the same time. We're, I guess, more or less about the same age. So like, we have a shared love of like 90s hip hop, so
yeah, we do. Big shout out to Cypress Hill, which we got to meet. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because she's in the inner circle, I didn't have to explain who Cypress Hill was.
Send Dog.
What's up, Send Dog?
Yeah. Awesome.
That was a good trip.
That was a really great trip.
And it was in El Paso, which is not a sentence people say often, but it's my hometown.
I'm in El Paso.
I loved it. I went back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Also, something a lot of people haven't said about El Paso, but it's home to me. Yeah. So it was, I definitely enjoyed having that time there. So I think, that trust issue is really big. And for me, a big flag that says, hey, this person seems like they're a little fun, but if the first time I meet you, you're talking trash about other people.
Yeah.
You don't know who I am.
Good or bad?
Oh, that's greatly not good. Greatly not good. Yeah. Because I'm thinking, first of all, you don't know if I know that person you're talking trash about.
That's bad judgment.
Second of all, the world is round, and sooner or later, it'll be my turn to make a mistake or need that support, and you will be talking to somebody you just met about the things that you're judging me for. So, trust is huge. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The end. Yeah.
Should we get So, okay, we have a lot of broken news to go over, and no better, guest to go over it than our inner circle, because there's so much bad stuff.
I mean, is it because today's a special day of some sort? Is there something going on in DC today that is setting the tone?
I don't know. I'm not watching. No social media, no news today.
Is there anything that rhymes with monauguration?
Special day because we're doing this podcast.
Exactly.
Yes. A bunch of people getting together in DC to celebrate the fact that we're recording a podcast.
Exactly.
Today. Yeah. They're wearing red hats in honor of us.
Just as delusional as.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. A little bit of that is necessary to survive. Yeah. Oh, geez. Well, maybe the first broken news we can talk about is congratulations to the Biden administration, because they broke the record for the deportations in 2021
Of all time.
So this says more than 271,000 immigrants were deported from the U.S. And this is, I guess, for 2024. So for the year, more than anybody else.
Oh, wow.
So.
See, I thought Obama.
Yeah, Obama was our deporter in chief.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Wow.
He's second place.
I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Well, because I think Obama put more people, probably most people, in deportation proceedings, but then
Actually remove them.
yeah, like we
Yeah.
had very kind of generous, like kind of PD guidelines and all of that, and so
Priority for who they wanted to.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
But I also think the system was way more efficient, right? Because back then, I mean, I don't remember having to wait a year and a half for your first, master calendar hearing. Like somebody would get
That's
placed in
true.
proceedings, and then within 6 months they'd have that first hearing, and then within,
Yeah.
I mean, they may have had 3 or 4 master calendar hearings, but stuff wasn't dragging on as long.
But I also think we didn't have as many people in removal proceedings at that time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because the people that stayed in proceedings were in danger of removal, right? Like,
Yeah.
none of this just
Yeah.
bunch of people clogging the system. But regardless of how he got there, congratulations.
Great job.
Sarcastically, yay, we did it.
We did it. Yes. And so I guess the other piece of broken news is that it's been kind of all over different various news channels now that Trump is going to do his first kind of target of immigrants in Chicago tomorrow. There's be 100 to 200 ICE officers, I think, out to do this tomorrow in Chicago. It's also supposed to be extremely cold in Chicago tomorrow, so good luck to
So they're
them.
gonna have an alternate venue.
They're gonna just do it indoors.
Yeah.
All the enforcement is gonna be indoors. Yeah.
Indoor enforcement.
Now, is this because of how bad the Bears played this year? Because I know, look, I'm as disappointed as the next person, as the next fan, because of, how few games we won with the number 1 quarterback pick. But to deport people over it, I feel like that's too much.
I wanted to come in with some kind of like Chicago sports related joke, but I know nothing about it.
Yeah,
So
I got you. I'm a Bears fan.
Thank you. Like I know pizza, and I know like Dave Matthews Band, like
Yeah.
dumped there.
And the bean?
And the bean.
And the bean.
Yeah, the big
Yeah.
shiny
Uh-huh.
bean. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
and
about.
Kanye.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Kanye, R. Kelly, that list of.
I forgot about R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah, both of them graduated from the high school that my oldest daughter graduated from.
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are there pictures like still in like the trophy cases or whatever?
They may have been when she went, but I bet they're not now. Twista's from there, though. Twista's still good. That
Okay.
guy's still good. He's still good.
Yes.
He's still good.
Good.
Yeah, so, that's Chicago.
Yeah.
But why? Do we know why?
Well, so I guess the theory is that he's targeting sanctuary cities.
Yeah, but
Quote unquote.
I feel like that's going to be the motto for the next 4 years is, but why?
it seems kind of pricey. Like, like if you're wanting to round up and deport people, like, okay, like, I know O'Hare is like a big international airport, but like what about Atlanta? Like that is like the busiest international airport. Or like, why not somewhere like closer to a border? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like that just seems.
Okay, I don't mean to be this kind of host, but you can keep that common sense shit out the door. All right? That is not what this episode is about. That logistically makes sense. Financially, it makes sense as far as the numbers of people that have probably already gotten removal orders in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But think about it. Like, if you want to go scoop up people that easily you can remove, Atlanta is known for having a horrible court, right? Like, as far as decisions.
Yeah.
Then a lot of them with removal orders. So you just go by, scoop them up, grab some peaches, but why?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the why is optics. It's all about the optics.
Yeah.
And I think the next 4 years, all of the enforcement, all of the heavy-handedness, it's going to be focused on stuff that is bombastic and it has optics that appeal to the...
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's performative. It's not about actually being effective. It's not about actually moving the needle. It's going to be about optics, and it's going to be about getting even. with political enemies. So, and about the Bears getting their coaching situation. Well, the third one's more for me. That one's not really, I'm not going to lie, that one's not related to immigration, but that's important to me.
So how do we weather this?
Get you an inner circle. I mean, I think
get you an inner circle. Yeah.
That and focus on the macro. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're gonna touch on that here in a second.
Sorry.
No.
You're jump ahead.
It's called foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, another piece of broken news. BIA says your spam folder, your problem. Robert, do you want to talk about this case?
Well, since it exists, I guess we have to. So we have the case of I don't know this attorney, probably a lovely person. Maybe this case was done much more diligently than is initially apparent, but it looks like you have a respondent who missed a filing deadline with the BIA, and they decided to run it up to the Fifth Circuit. Never a good idea. And ended up getting a bad decision, the precedential decision that affects everybody in the Fifth Circuit.
No, this is a BIA case.
The BIA.
Yeah, BIA.
This is not the Fifth Circuit.
Not the Fifth Circuit.
Okay, I stand corrected. I stand corrected. That was actually just a test that I wanted to demonstrate why it's good to have an inner circle. See, folks? See? That's why.
Yeah.
No judgment.
None. Zero judgment. So the attorney received a notice via email, a filing deadline for their appeal, but decided to wait until she got a copy in the mail.
Correct.
Yeah.
From what I understand, she got the notification by email, but she had received the receipt notice paper format. And so she was expecting, if I remember correctly, the briefing schedule to also appear via paper.
Right.
Well, why would somebody just assume that there wasn't going to be consistent mode of communication?
Okay. Yes. That's strike two, Melissa. Again, common sense.
Joe Rogan, his guest was asking those bonehead Barbie questions. No offense, Barbie.
Yeah. No, we don't want to offend Barbie. That's common sense issue number two that you've pointed out. Because again, you would expect, and in many other areas of law, you're going to get consistency, but that's not. I mean, where part of our practice do we see consistency from the U.S. from USCIS? No. From EOIR? No. BIA? Absolutely not. So,
and I still feel like the electronic system with immigration courts, it's still
hit or miss.
Yeah.
A little buggy.
And for those who might not know, a lot of courts had already moved to the digital world, and
decades.
Immigration court was basically forced because of the pandemic.
Yeah. Grudgingly did it.
Yeah.
And then halfway through the transition, just stopped.
Yeah.
They're like, when they first announced it, they were like, starting April 15, in 30 days, every case is going to be electronic. You must file everything electronically. And then come April 16, they're like, nah. Look, okay, so starting any case filed from today forward, but all the billing in the cases before, nah, we're not going to mess with that.
You go on your system to e-file something.
No can do. No. Well, can we just file things electronically and have them added to the paper file?
Nope.
Shut up! Get that common sense out of here.
The only way something's going to get added to the paper file if it gets lost and then passed to 5 different, clerks, maybe a couple of IJs until, it finally finds its way. It's a very indirect route.
Yeah.
Something else.
Then and to get things from a paper file to an electronic file, the same people that are already overworked and understaffed are handed piles of folders and say, scan all of this.
Yeah.
So
scan technology do you think that they have there?
I don't know. What does HP have on sale? What's on sale at Walmart? Black Friday. What was good for Black Friday?
Like, that's what I don't want to use. You know,
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
if I'm like, bought out in the market for a new like printer scanner system, and they're like, "This is what the government use." No,
No.
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 No. No.
Absolutely not. Oh man. Okay, so we've talked about China. We've talked about spam. I'm sorry, Chicago
It's
spam.
Like China.
Not talking about China.
It's because I was trying to get onto my TikTok. My bad, guys. My bad. Is it because it was down and now it's back, and and then I was distracted. So okay, this is one that I touches me particularly. Big shout out to my tia Mayra. Trump announced that he wants to annex Canada by
Greenland.
Greenland.
Make a deal with Denmark.
Yeah. And then take over the Panama Canal again, which is it's like he's playing was it Marry, Fuck, Kill? Is that that game?
Yeah.
I'm not making this up. There's a game.
Yeah.
Ship or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like Monopoly.
Yeah. Is that how you play Monopoly? Jeez, I love it. Y'all gonna die. I love it. Right. So I was born in Panama. I still have family in Panama. And so this news, as you can imagine, was not taken very well by the Panamanians. More specifically, my aunt had some choice comments about the idea of Trump just taking over the Panama Canal. So, the strategic, people are looking at this random comment that he made, and saying, it's because the Chinese geopolitical influence in this part of the hemisphere, they've overreached, and in Panama they've invested heavily in the canal, and so Trump is trying to take financial steps, and take steps to push them back. Wrong. Correct answer. He's crazy. He said something crazy. That's the correct answer. And my aunt is really pissed. And if anybody in the administration can please give her a call on WhatsApp, I would appreciate that. She has some comments she'd like to file. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Geez, that was a lot.
That was a lot
That
of
was a
broken
lot.
news.
And y'all, this isn't even day one of the new administration. It isn't even. So, how are we gonna keep our shit together for 4 years?
So I think we talked about this a little bit with like news rationing, right? Like where, like what have you guys decided you're gonna do with?
I haven't.
So I've been out of the country.
Just
Eating out of my mind.
Yeah.
Eating my way through Spain, trying not to listen to any news, but
trying to pretend like you're not American, so you don't have to answer for all of our. Like, what are you guys doing over there? No hablo inglés.
But my normal day is I wake up and it's like, hey Alexa, tell me my news, and that's not going to happen. I think previous administration, I was constantly listening to the news, reading, and I just had too much anxiety and frustration. My hair got grayer. So this time I'm just going to kind of limit it to my field. I know that probably. I know that's going to bother me because I love reading the news and knowing what's going on, but I think for my mental health and to reduce the anxiety and anxiousness, I'm going to limit my news time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for those of you who didn't practice during Trump 1.0, just kind of a heads up.
Snappers.
Yeah, every Friday, something awful happened.
5 p.m.
Yeah. By 5 p.m.
Some decision is going to be overturned.
And usually by Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was how we found
X.
stuff out.
X.
No, I don't call it that. The closest I'll get, I'll call it Twix. But I'm not, I'm not, no, not doing it.
But I think though, like, I struggle with this because I feel that, like, this is my field. So, like, it is my responsibility to know everything that is going on in the news related to immigration. So, but it's just like, what is it? Like drinking from a fire hose right now, you know? And I do want to be informed enough so that, like, I can pass information to clients or, you know, reassure them because, you know, media literacy it's not taught in schools, guys. Mm-hmm. And so, like, it's really tough to parse through all of that information. And I do think that, you know, as immigration attorneys, we do have that responsibility to our clients. But yeah, so personally, I'm not really sure how I'm going to just kind of filter through and just take care of my mental health. I don't know. I'll probably just like white knuckle my way through it.
Yeah. And then also like
that does not sound
and for
healthy,
practitioners who this is going to be their first round Friday, 5 p.m. news. Don't let it ruin your weekend.
Go to happy hours.
Yeah. Go.
With and your inner circle.
Or get a massage or some other self-care.
Mm-hmm.
But by Monday or Tuesday, there's going to be a lawsuit. And so it's going to be a lot of today, yes, we can do this. Next week, I don't know. It's going to be a lot of back and forth.
You cannot be just like hardlining, you know, doing lines of news like this. You got to take a bump. Take a little bump of news. Just a little bit of news at a time.
That's like, you know, another great reason to have an inner circle because one, it's nearly impossible to keep track of it all. It was nearly impossible to keep track of it all, like during his last administration. So like it is helpful to get that ping from your buddy, your friend that's like, hey, blah 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 just happened. You know?
Yeah. I think the other challenge is that almost by design, there's so much happening at once. You don't really know what part of what's happening is actually happening.
Right.
It seems like it's happening. It's about to happen, but then nothing comes together and you were distracted by that. Meanwhile, some, you know, bureaucratic red tape, you know, change happens on the back end and it's way more important. You know, we're all worried about the Muslim ban, which the long-term effect of that is smaller than the putting NA on your applications and getting your shit rejected. You know what I mean? Because that was kind of quiet and boring, and not everybody has someone that bought them stamps, the NA stamps. We have. I still have it to this day. I'm going to buy a refill for the ink.
I took it out. I was like, staff. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, I already told my staff, I was like, just go ahead and start putting NA on everything.
I should brush my stamp off.
Camp Legal, the case management system that we use. Not yet, but we're open for sponsorship from Camp Legal. So it automatically fills in with NA.
Nice.
Like that was their response, and they never stopped it. It still does it.
It's great.
Yep,
reason enough for me there. To on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like maybe like, you know, we need to divide it up. Like what are we going to divide it up by like news outlets? Are we going to divide it up by like which countries are likely to get totally screwed over? You know,
by color, skin tone. You know, like. No, you know what? They're doing a good enough job of that.
Very disproportionate share if we're dividing it that way.
You're true. You're right. That's right. This is going to be one-sided quite a bit. And you know, I feel like the administration is going to do a good enough job of that. You figure out some way to share the load. You can't divide it specifically, at least share the load of what you're going through. Even in prepping for this podcast today, right? Like we were talking about different, you know, broken news items that some of us have had the bandwidth to go a little deeper than others, but it's in that conversation in the inner circle that we inform each other.
I think something also, and like real quick, as far as like benefits of having an inner circle and like how you kind of just grapple with like the rapid changes that will be occurring is I know like we got pretty good at like one person would write a motion and then something that, you know, we come up with a template motion that we know we were going to have to use a ton.
Right.
And kind of just like, you know, share it with everyone else. So you're not recreating.
I can't believe we're this far in and I completely forgot to mention
Yeah.
sharing actual work.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another thing. All right, DJ, can you just back up like 15 minutes?
That was important.
Yeah, that was really
It's
important.
really important.
Good job, Melissa. So that's another thing is we all share work like freely, right?
Yeah.
Like we know that it's reciprocated. It's like, hey, if I have a template, here you go. If I have a sample, you have a sample. Back and forth. There's none of the gatekeeping.
Share notes for like
Exactly.
CLE.
Yeah.
So if, you know, I can't make it, I know someone else is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just open flow of communication.
Even if I did make it and I like just spaced out like and missed like a chunk, you know, like
Maybe we spaced out at different times.
right.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot. Such a big part of our jobs that like
But that's why we're
Templates.
talking as
Exactly.
Like-
Yeah.
see having your inner circle on for podcasts, that's another benefit.
Yeah.
See, that's a-
Exactly. And it's not just sharing motions. It's, you know, if you're dealing with a client and you're like, hey, has anybody ever dealt with this? And, you know, what were the results or how did you handle it? That's
Yeah.
also very important.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have clients with criminal history or removal orders and you're like, ooh,
Husband.
I know.
Weird shit always goes to
My
Ozma.
client's detained. What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that there's just like lots of resource sharing and just like also like basic stuff about like how to like run the business stuff. Like,
Oh, yeah.
hey, you know, like I'm not happy with my software system.
right.
Or, like, what do you
Service.
guys use?
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah. Melissa and I have had some really intense, wonky conversation that
Nerd.
I feel really bad for anybody that had to hear some of it because you just get like super into it, like, oh my god, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
These processes. How are you setting up your template?
Yeah.
We love innovation.
Yeah.
Computers. I'm thinking of switching everyone to Macs, and you're like, just do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're in a Mac environment ourselves for the same reason. We go for ubiquitous hardware implementation, blah 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 blah. Got to have someone in the inner circle to do that. And really, like, this is probably my final tip. Going back to the inner circle thing, is when you have people in your inner circle, if at all possible, try to find people that have different skills and strengths. Right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like on our team, like we're all very varied, right? I'm the tech nerd, you know, kind of person. I mean, Ozma again is when it comes down to fighting in court. I already said that if I ever make any really, really bad mistakes, Ozma's the person I'm sending in to bust heads. Melissa has processes and, you know, specializes in family court cases.
Yeah.
Andrea, espionage.
Yes, absolutely.
But she's,
Yeah.
you know, kind of the big sister practice-wise because she's been
Yeah.
practicing longer than all of us, right? So,
I feel like Andrea, you probably understand like all like the wonky like visa retrogression stuff
Yes.
and like
Yes.
the calculations for that. Like that I cannot.
yeah,
Like, that, like,
consular
convinces me.
practice.
Yeah.
By far, I think she has the most.
CDJ.
Yes.
Yeah.
CDJ stuff.
CDJ.
Like yeah.
Yeah, because of how long everything takes. I've had my practice since 2017, and I still only have like a handful of cases that have gone through the whole process, like 10, right? Like we filed, you know, umpteen amounts of them. So, I mean, you're definitely the one I'm like, hey, you know, like once it gets to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that balance is another thing that has really helped us out. And
Yeah.
I recommend you do that.
Okay, so you guys have the honor of, as our guest invaders, of opening the beloved Royal Dance cookie
Yes.
box. To
Yes.
see if it's a hit or a kit.
Yes. What
A sewing
what is?
kit?
Yeah. Hey, Yes.
Yes.
Hit or quit. That's the whole idea, right? It's like on the radio station before, the hit it or quit it, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is hit or quit. And we're going to talk about a specific, law or rule or change in immigration. And the idea is you're going to open it and there's either going to be cookies or sewing kits. Because as anybody that grew up either in a brown household or an immigrant household, that little can
Absolutely.
is a Trojan horse, right?
Yeah.
Very
I'll let you
rarely.
open it. 'Cause I didn't realize we were doing this, and I opened it.
Yeah.
I
So-
was hoping there. I was like, ooh, there's gonna be like
first,
the pretzel shape.
go ahead and grab it, but you can't open it until we say what it is, right? So we're gonna say what the law is, what the change is, and then is it good, is it bad, right?
Okay.
Now, fair warning, much like in real life, throughout the year, there are very few times throughout the year that's actually cookies. Most of the time, it's sewing kits, or as the can starts to degrade, screws, nuts, bolts.
Yeah.
Gonna find a couple of these in the garage.
Yeah, exactly. They work their way down. The ones in the garage are like from the 90s or
rusty
80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For sure.
So we're actually going to talk about the Laken-Riley Act.
Yes. So the Laken-Riley Act. So for those of you that have followed the news on kind of Laken-Riley, she was a young woman. I believe she lived in Georgia. Is that
I think
right?
so. Yeah.
And so she was out on a run, and she got murdered. And kind of the significant thing about her murder was the fact that the murderer was an immigrant. He, I believe, was Venezuelan, had entered the United States, at some point had picked up a theft charge. It was like a minor theft charge. He was released by ICE, and basically while he was on release, committed this murder. And it was terrible. It was all over the news. And of course it caused a lot of immigrant groups to just become demonized, and a lot of talk about like, oh, look at all these people we let in here.
Yep.
And so now it has passed in the House, the Laken-Riley Act, and the scary part is that we don't know the reach of this, and that's kind of the worrisome part, is that what they're trying to pass is something that makes it so that if you are an immigrant and you get charged, not convicted, but simply charged with a theft offense, no matter how petty it is, you are likely subject to mandatory detention, meaning you can't get released, and so it's very
Maybe we should let her open because I think that doesn't sound very tasty, and I feel like
this
does not sound yummy at all.
This does not sound yummy.
So maybe crack that
Okay.
crack that can. Let's see.
All right.
Oh, surprise.
This is the OG.
You remember that? Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't fill it with needles just for safety purposes. We don't have any kind of insurance, but yeah. So it's a sewing kit. It's not cookies. So I guess this is where we... it sucks because you really can't explain the law without it sounding as shitty
Just to poke my eyeballs.
as it is. Yeah. It is, but we aren't even in day one. So don't use those.
Okay.
We're gonna need them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait till Wednesday.
Yeah. At least Wednesday. So when we look at the effects of this law, maybe let's start backwards. Is there any way? I said way.
Yeah, I
Is
know
there-
about that.
My El Paso accent slipped out. Sorry. Is there any way? Is there any way that this might be positive?
So the only positive I could see is it's past the House now, and now it's gone for vote in the Senate. The problem is that several months ago when this first got proposed, I don't think that there was even a possibility that there would be that many Democrats in the Senate who would vote for this.
Right.
And now, the pendulum has kind of shifted on immigration. And now we are seeing Democrats be all gung-ho about this being passed. And so that's kind of the only positive I see
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a positive there.
That hopefully, I don't know, somebody has a change of heart, and enough people have a change of heart that it doesn't get passed. But
I usually feel, though, when people hear, immigrant arrest, and most people assume, if they were arrested, they must be guilty. So we've got that issue. And then theft charges can range. I mean, we're talking about potentially someone who stole a chocolate bar, some makeup at Target versus, more of the, felony charges, which are definitely more egregious. So it's not a balance. There's no balance to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to pass the but why test. We're gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna borrow that and just use it until people get tired of it. Okay?
But why?
Yeah. Did I say it again? My bad, fool. But why? Yeah, it doesn't pass the but why test, because if the purpose is, you want to target people that have criminal history or done criminal things that are the most likely to commit these types of heinous acts, I mean, is there some other type of crime you would look for, Asma? Anything that has a shirt style named after it?
Yeah.
Wife beating? Yeah.
Perhaps, right? and so, I guess that's the part of it that is so frustrating, is that this was one very particular, just horrendous case, right? Where somebody with this specific charge, got released and ended up committing this, a serious crime. But there's really, I don't think that there's really much correlation between, being, charged with or convicted of a theft offense and then going on and murdering somebody.
Right.
And so, I think that that's just, that is disturbing. But then also, I'm just concerned, I think I'm very, very concerned about kind of, shopping while brown is what I'm going to call it now, where you go into a store, somebody suspects that you don't have papers, somebody, and then they call and say that you've stolen something when you haven't taken anything. And,
then you get arrested.
Yeah. And you get arrested. And so I think for me, that's kind of the bigger worry. Right. Is just all the people, the innocent people that are going to get dragged into this. And yeah.
For me, what's disturbing are the other two big parts of it that shift the balance of control of immigration law more to the state level. Mm-hmm. One of them is the act is supposed to grant state attorneys the right to sue the Secretary of Homeland Security or the Attorney General to enforce the provisions of the act, right? And the other is it prohibits the Secretary of State from granting visas to citizens of countries that refuse to accept the return of their nationals being deported from the U.S. So those are two things that are very, very broad-reaching and have nothing to do with the first one, right? Like, I mean, if I was a little more savvy with music, I would play one of these things and not like the other song. But I'm not. So just hum it to yourself from Sesame Street. Yeah, they have nothing to do. And so they fail the but why test. I caught it again, but why? Why? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is a, I think, performative act, and it's
yeah. Well, speaking of performative, like, how completely gross is it to use this heinous thing that happened to this woman as, a jumping off point to further, demonize immigrants and to, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't know. But like just
Politicize it.
politicize it.
Yeah, and I see
this is a woman. She's got she's got parents.
Right.
Like I can't imagine. Well, what I've read is that at least the her father, he didn't want this to become a political issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, unfortunately, is like, that's the day and age that we live in politically. These one-offs get run up the flagpole, and all of a sudden you've got somebody that's a victim, that's dealing, family that's dealing with stuff, made the center of attention for the spectacle, because that's what this has become. And it doesn't effectively do or target the type of people that it says that it's supposed to, right? Mm-hmm. Because I would think that, people that have arrests, 1 or 2 arrests for domestic violence would be much more likely, targets for this type of law. Yeah. But, common sense, right? That makes too much common sense. So
now this is this woman's legacy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So, we're about done on the podcast, and we once again have ended on a horrible note. Oh man, we gotta figure something out on that.
Put some cookies in this thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, I there's no way we can end on that note, right?
High five.
High five! Slow motion high five. So, I mean, I think maybe a way to spin this, try to land this bird a different way is, what are you guys hoping, to accomplish in your sphere of influence, right? Not the meta big picture, because I mean, clearly at this point, the country is in a place, not just, a small subset, but a big enough chunk of the country is in a place where what I think is good and right and, the right way to treat people is stupid. They think that. They voted in a way that they think that's stupid. So that's cool, right? Cool. No big deal. So how am I going to make an impact on a smaller local level?
Well, I know for me, I think I really want to take care of my staff. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that they're okay. I want to put the least amount of pressure possible when we're going to be just scrambling to file things based on, some new policy or whatever that's going to come. Like, that is very stressful, to have to drop everything and then respond to, a Friday at 5 p.m. Whim, if you will. So I just really want to make sure that my staff is supported. That way, if they're supported, they're going to take good care of our clients also. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what I have the most control over. So that's where I'm going to put my focus.
Mm-hmm. Mine is similar. I was going to say kindness. Kindness to my staff. If I am frustrated, and obviously having survived the previous administration, I know there are days where I just want to be negative and just kind of have this negative energy, right? So kind of just focus more on, okay, go scream in your car, come back, and just,
Just keep a pillow in your office.
With the windows up or down.
But just don't bring that negative energy, because your staff and your clients are going to be able to feel it. Absolutely. And if they see you stressed, they're going to get super stressed. So it's just like, okay, constantly trying to remind myself of this kindness of be kind to yourself, be kind to everybody else, and just kind of, I mean, you survive the first one. I think you can survive the second one.
Yeah, and I think for me, I know that I meet a lot of kind of younger practitioners, and they haven't gone through Trump 1.0, and so I think there's going to be, over the next several years, a lot of detained work out there, and I understand a lot of practitioners do not want to do it. It's stressful, and it can be demoralizing. But whoever does want to learn it, I would like to be a resource for anyone out there that wants to, either dip their toes in it or get their feet completely wet. I'm happy to kind of guide them and kind of be a resource for people that do want to learn how to represent somebody who is detained.
Yeah.
And how not to.
And how not to.
And how not to.
I think that part of it is also important. So, yeah.
I just want to lift up the people around me. I feel like the more I focus on that, like the people I care around me, the less I have the opportunity to focus on how frustrated I am, and how negative I feel about certain things. The human capacity for imagining the worst possible things that could happen over the next 4 years, especially if you're a lawyer, it's literally what we get paid to do, right?
Yeah.
I can vividly imagine, I can smell exactly how every horrible thing is going to happen over the next 4 years. But what I can't do is vividly imagine the positive things that might come that are unexpected. And so I'm going to leave myself open to those possibilities. And there's just focus on, my tribe, my herd, my circle. Yeah.
Cheers.
Much better ending, right? That was way better.
Much better.
That was way
Much better.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, guys, thank you so much. I mean,
Yes.
really appreciate you guys coming here.
Pleasure.
And honestly, in a lot of ways, this feels like it should be the first episode for us, right? Because you guys are such a big
You gotta
part.
work out the kinks first before bringing on the big talent.
Yeah.
Real talk. That's real talk. Absolutely. That's what Snoop told us when we invited him. And Dirty Curse Band. Yeah. So, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate having you guys. And we should probably do this again sometime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you guys enjoy the episode as much as we enjoy doing it. As usual, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us at the flea market. There's a guy that sells CDs with our podcast.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. But we hope you guys will tune in for the next episode. And as always, we appreciate you guys having us.